Near the end of 1984, Kenner was feeling the lack of sales for the Star Wars toys, and they had a lot of overstock in their warehouse. Toy stores were even returning some of the cases if they couldn't clearance out the figures. What was Kenner to do with all that overstock? They had to get them out of the warehouse, and cheap. They would take their overstock and repack them in a 2-pack at a dirt cheap price. Sometime around the end of 1984 or early 1985, Return of the Jedi 2-pack figures were sent to discount toy stores. Most of them were sent to KB Toys, the biggest discount toy store at the time, but other smaller discount toy stores seemed to have got them. The figures were sold at KB for $1.99, but would be quickly marked down to around $1.49 or cheaper.
Items that we are going to sell at, they've got to be below cost.
They are below cost. I can tell you right now, I've looked at some of these prices, and on some of these discount stores in LaGrange or everywhere else, never seen them lower than that. Never seen them lower than that. Even on their falling price today, never seen them lower than that.
I mean, that's why this product just blows out immediately.
In 1983, a lot of those stores were selling figures already for $1.99. So this was like buying one and getting another one free. And with that 50 cent or more markdown, it was even a better deal. The figures were packed randomly, with no real rhyme or reason. It seems workers at Kenner would just take 2 figures and throw them in the bubble. And I mean throw them in, as you can find the figures facing backwards or even upside down. It's also believed that some of these figures were packed using old stock that KB Toys and other stores had that become loose and they couldn't sell them. The cards for the action figure were cheaper than what Kenner was used to doing. The front of the card looks like a photocopy, and the back, there was no checklist of action figures. There was not even a barcode. There was nothing, just plain cardboard. Even the bubble was cheap, as they are really thin and seem easy to dent. However, the bubbles for these figures don't seem to turn yellow. They are much like the flimsy bubbles used for the Tri-Logo figures. The bubble would have 2 compartments to keep each figure separate. Kenner seemed to be using overstock that wasn't even complete figures. A lot of the figures would be packed on the card without their weapons, cape, helmet, or whatever. The oddest thing, as far as I can find out, no 3PO with removable limbs have been found in the 2-pack, but the normal 3PO has. That figure has stopped being produced about 3 years before. It seems when Kenner swapped from the normal 3PO to the removable limb 3PO, they must have had a lot of old stock laying around and now knew a way to get rid of them. Most of the figures were for Return of the Jedi, but overall, figures from all 3 movies can be found on the card. So how many different 2-packs did they make? Well, there seems to be no official number, but it seems to be in the thousands. Some have even given the count as high as 2,000. You'd think with so many of these, they would be cheap and easy to find. Well, they're not. They're rare and hardly turn up. I looked on eBay just today and found 2 for sale, but when I searched sold sales, I couldn't find any. Even if there were 1,000 of these produced, it seems there wasn't a lot of them out there. It seems that Biff Tuna is the easiest to find on the card, so he must have been a slow-selling character, or Kenner just happened to make way too many of him. Collectors seem to really bought these up early and hung on to them. Plus, with the cheap bubble, over the time they probably became damaged, and the bubble fell off. After all, these were probably just thrown in the clearance bin at KB Toys, and kids that were still buying Star Wars dug through them looking for the 2 figures they wanted. I also couldn't find anyone that actually remembered seeing these at a store, but I'm sure someone did. But it doesn't seem to be something that was sent to every KB store, as the ones that can recall them are few and far between. Well, that's a look at the Return of the Jedi 2-pack.
Junkman.
Thank you, sir, for that unsolicited testimony.